Hi, I'm Lauren. Today I'm going to be making gnocchi alla Sorrentina. I don't think I pronounced that right, but I'm making my gnocchis from scratch with my roommate. So we have that, and then I'm gonna get a couple of my friends to come taste it after. So enjoy.
So I got the recipes for the actual dish and for the gnocchis themselves from inside the Rustic Kitchen, and these are the exact ingredients and recipes that I used for this. These are the ingredients for the gnocchis, and this is all of the materials you are going to need when making the dish. This is what I used for my sauce, and I started off with getting a pot and filling it with water and putting that on a burner to get it to boil. Then you're going to wash your potatoes and really make sure that they are clean. When you put your pot of water onto the burner, you're going to add some salt in there, and then you're going to throw your potatoes in once it starts to boil. Then I started with prep, so I dried out my balls of mozzarella. Then you're going to slice your mozzarella. I ended up cutting them into like smaller little cubes, but you could also just rip it as long as they're into smaller pieces. I had some fresh basil, but then you're going to pick yourself some fresh basil and dice up some garlic. When I was done with that, the potatoes got checked and they seemed good, so I ended up straining those because they were fully cooked. And then you peel your potatoes and the skin should come off very easily. It's a bit of a time-consuming process. It doesn't come off like hard or anything, but the potatoes are very hot. So this is a nice little time lapse of me and my roommate peeling the potatoes. Once all of your potatoes are peeled, you would honestly probably should use a ricer. It seems like it would be a lot easier than the potato masher that I ended up using, and it got the job done, but it took a little bit more time and there was still a couple little chunks and it wasn't as fine as I would have liked it to been for my actual gnocchis. But then once we get to that point, we are going to clean the countertops down because you're going to put flour and everything and make them right on top of the counter. Now that all that's done, this is all of the ingredients prepped for when we need them. So to make the gnocchis, I ended up doubling the recipe, but I put some flour down on top of my clean countertop, and you're gonna make a little hole and have like a little wall, and make sure that you can put your eggs and everything inside of there and mix it up, and it doesn't go all over the counter and it still gets fully incorporated with the flour. You can crack your eggs right into the little dent, but I do not trust myself with breaking eggs and not getting any shell in there, so I cracked them into a little bowl and mixed them up and then ended up pouring it in there. Did forget to record me putting like a handful of the potatoes in there, and then you're gonna try to mix it together. I have nails, so I tried to use a fork, didn't go that well, so then I ended up just getting in there with my hands and really turning it into a dough that could be rolled out. So I have another little time lapse of me and my roommate doing the time-consuming fun parts. And so when you're rolling these out, you just take a chunk and you roll them into like a snake or a log, and then you end up cutting that into smaller pieces and rolling it onto your fork to make the shape of the gnocchi. And it is that shape so it can hold sauce. So you really want to make sure that you get that one right. And then here is a close-up of the gnocchi. They don't have to be perfect or anything. So this is all of the gnocchis that I ended up with, and then after that I filled up another pot with water to boil that so I could cook my gnocchis. At this point I preheated the oven and put my water onto a pot, waited for that to boil, and I started on my sauce. So I put a little bit of olive oil down into the pan, then I put in my minced garlic. After that gets cooked around for a little bit, I threw in a jar of my tomatoes. Then I seasoned a little bit with some salt and pepper. I ended up adding a little bit more later too. I did not put enough at this point. That's going to cook down for a little bit, and then you're going to add in half of your chopped mozzarella, and then the other half is going to be saved for later. You're also going to add in your basil, and then this is also just going to get cooked, stirred down for a little bit longer. At this point, the water should be boiling and you should put your gnocchis in there. Since they are fresh and homemade, they should only take a couple minutes, and you'll know that they are ready when they all float to the top. So I kept my sauce on until I ended up taking the gnocchis off of the burner and straining those. This part was a little bit hard to record, but I put a little bit of my sauce at the bottom, put the gnocchis in, stirred it up a little bit, kept repeating that until it was all mixed in together. And then I put the leftover cheese on the top to make sure that it's going to get baked and broiled nice. I ended up baking it for 15 or 20 minutes and broiled it, and then took it out of the oven and let it cool for a little bit, and this is what it looked like. And I ended up serving it for me and a couple of my friends for dinner, and it turned out a lot better than I expected it. Everyone really enjoyed it, and I don't cook often, so this was very fun for me to do, and I would do it again.